When it's a bad thing when they try to get when you come at the door, you need to ask, you need to say you're on anti-read, and you're actually getting the actresses. I'm going to do she's just talking to me. It's okay. Once the mic,
yeah, I'm going to see if I can fit the mic in there. Do you want to kick off in like 3 minutes?
It's trying to get a drink.
Good to go. Thank you. You know, someone and the next day, something the next day, you know, after 3 years, it's going to be anyway before that.
David, have you got the charger for your laptop? Do you want to just like... Yes, I'll plug that in. Yeah, it's just gone out of midway.
She coming up. Yes.
Testing. Radio check. Everyone pretty much in the screen. Be around the front right now. Are you going to do the intro, David? Just use the intro. So I'm just going to keep it as Jenny. Okay, well, I'll turn on my
Scientists, I'm afraid, a humanities thing, but there's all sorts of reasons for that. So in the heat of a crisis, everyone turns to look. And in the aftermath, those in charge often promise to learn the lessons. But what does that even mean? How do we make sense of something that has ripped through our life and turned it upside down? So as volcanologists, that crisis moment is a fleeting glimpse for us into how volcanoes work. And it's all hands to the pump to gather the data that we need. However, in the past, we haven't made the best job of valuing all the observations made. And knowledge has slipped into our textbooks without its source properly acknowledged, or it's languished, overlooked, far from where it could help us understand more. So the wider project we've been involved in has been examining our practice during volcanic crises in the 20th century in the Eastern Caribbean, and the influence that those practices have had on understanding how to respond to eruptions. So as we all know, making sense of what happens to you with an eruption is not just about the data, it's about how we reason with the forces that have assaulted our senses and moved us. And that's why we thought we'd join this year's Being Human Festival on Rhyme and Reason. And it's a real pleasure to be here for this special event that celebrates important cultural responses to eruptions in both St. Vincent and Montserrat, and how by working together and remaining curious about how each other's perspectives, we can genuinely learn the lessons of how to do better next time. So in that spirit, I'm going to finish quickly with a story I've got about a few young volcano observers from St. Vincent this time. And they've been hidden, like David's, in the dusty records until this evening. This is about a group of women who regularly traversed the crater of St. Vincent in 1902. it was a not easy but passable route that let people pass from one side of the island to the other. These women were expert in the terrain that they passed over and keen to raise the alarm when something seemed amiss in the crater. They were laughed at, threatened with jail, and finally, the ultimate indignity, warned to mind the eruption after a white man on a horse thought the rumours were worth checking out. Their names were until now hidden in the field notebook of one of the geologists who interviewed them as he made sense of the run-up to the eruption. So those women's names are Marianne Robertson, Wilhelmina Patterson, Emmeline Miller, Martha Booth, Rebecca Brown, and a child who was with them called Samson Edwards. And it's in the spirit of sharing and recognising all perspectives on a crisis that we're all here this evening. So thank you very much.
So it's my very great pleasure now to introduce Merle Roach. Merle's going to come up and give us 3 poems from her collection Tamarind Seeds.
Good night, everybody. David said, I'm going to give you 3 poems from Tamarind Seeds, but actually one isn't. And that's the first one that I'm going to share with you. Because this Being Human Festival, it brings back a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of memories. And a couple years ago when we celebrated, because we are in 28 years now, and we celebrated 25 a few years ago. And it's giving me pleasure to read this poem because it's also in a tribute to one of our fallen soldiers, Charmaine Greenaway, who put together a lovely collection of poems to mark the 25th anniversary of volcanic activity. And she challenged me, and I came up with this. Because a lot of us remember exactly what we were doing on the 18th of July, 1995. And it made me think, what about the day before? What were we doing the day before when life was as we knew it? The day before. If I knew that was the last day of life as I knew it, I would have paused to savor every moment, looked around and captured the scenery, listened to the roundabout evergreen conversations, taken mental snapshots of St. George's Hill landscape, inhale the intoxicating jasmine in the neighbor's garden, imprint the bright red hibiscus and multicolored croutons. If only I knew. If I knew that that was the last day of life as I knew it, I would have been sure to absorb every second. That was the essence of that day's making. From chance's rosy dawn to Plymouth's setting sun, taking in the everyday sounds of Clockston Island life, reveling in the nocturnal sounds of serenading crickets, taking no time for slumber, but making time to remember. If only I knew. If only I knew that was the last day of life as I knew it, I would have captured every precious minute, soaked in hot water on that midday, bathed under the refreshing cascade of Great Alps waterfall, caught the sudden green flash sunset from Bayfront Wall, recorded the face of loved ones, friends and neighbors as they smiled for my hidden candid camera memory. If only I knew. If only I knew that was the last day of life as I knew it. I would have cherished every passing hour. Lived that day like my last on earth, knowing the next day would change my world forever, bringing an abrupt end to everything that was familiar. Laugh with and not at the utterings of the prophet, never me. Say my final goodbye to Lady Gwen of Parliament Street. If only I knew. If only I knew that the next day would start life as we now know it. I would have was there. I've suddenly awoke. Identity, the heat of my breath devours anything. No matter if you're from St. Vincent or you're from Montserrat. Caribbean people are some of the most fragile. And she looked back at me like, Marky, she never answered me. Montserrat heritage is going to prevail. Easy, like you think me is Tyler Perry, mad black woman that cool. But are you sourdough?
Film.
Are you in the office?
A quick decision first. Monitor using seismology, so earthquakes, volcanic deformation, petrology and geochemistry. So for instance, the composition of the gas plume here, all these basically. We all have different tasks, but all in all it means like collecting data, process it, analyze it, and try to find out what's going on.
I just wanted to introduce you to some interesting things in terms of how these islands were before our timeline started. And one of the things that's important to recognise is that on these islands, before the Europeans came, and then before the Europeans brought an enslaved population, there was an indigenous population living, and across the islands it wasn't actually always necessarily the same indigenous tribes who were living all across all of the Eastern Caribbean. And these are the names. I don't know, are any of you, Beth, Rabel, Richie, I can put you on the spot to pronounce the names. This is the...
Science and art has a good synthesis. I think it was the perfect opportunity to reach some students and individuals who wouldn't necessarily be science inclined, but they would be more artistic, and I think it gave them the opportunity to not only learn, but be able to express themselves in ways that they couldn't even imagine.
In these art classes during Easter week, we started off by just inviting all the students, if they felt comfortable to do so, to close their eyes, and I played the flute, and while I was playing the flute, they were drawing with their eyes closed, with the intention of not trying to depict anything at all in their conscious minds, but just feel it and draw. And the moment they would open their eyes, we'd invite their imagination to grab onto something that they see.
We spoke with a lot of local partners and sponsors, and through all these different discussions, we ended up with the idea of making a mural, and also like documenting it by a video. And this idea is also to go basically against what we observed in the more research. So like for instance, if you see that like colonization sometimes doesn't help with local capacity building, like what we wanted to do was actually to do local capacity building.
And I feel like what we're doing is tapping into that potential with the youth and also the adults. In addition to film, I've also become an avid user of AI, artificial intelligence, and I've done it with the kids. And now the kids and the adults have gotten a real taste of AI, which for me was an incredible opportunity.
Originally, it's more a research project, and it's funded by the UK Research and Innovation Fund, a fund which is called actually Hidden Stories.
Really, I thought it was at summer school, not before and stuff. But when we were told for the journey part, when we were told to like do experience lines and make it into something obviously before I started at summer school, and basically coloring, making balloons, also paper and stuff like that.
We actually have been doing videos, and I do have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page where the name of it is Zero Words of Encouragement, and what it's all about is mostly on a spiritual basis. We use the opportunity to spread God's word in this digital age.
I'm a very visual person, so if I'm just sitting there, I'm not just sitting there, I'm watching everything that's going on around me. My brain likes to break down the process. So from that, I've kind of done my own little videos, little video editing, nothing on a professional kind of standard, but I have done stuff that's been content.
Then, like the art bit is really when they have to think about it and come up with a way to interpret, what they understood, to eventually speak with the family, ask questions around them, and actually come up with their own way to speak about all that.
In this adventures class, we learned that there are only happy mistakes when it comes to art. We also discussed how this mural can inspire students to push forward and achieve their goals. Between the different groups, we all had our ideas, but some didn't make the final cut. In our last days of the study of a mural, we asked ourselves, would this motivate our schoolmates and friends? This encouraged students to push forward until the very end. This mural has inspired me to reach for the stars. Over the 3 years that I have been here, it's been like a jungle with different obstacles, challenges, that I will face to the very end of MSS. So I will continue to spread my wings and soar like a butterfly.
This is everyone, like if you look at the company, it's like a butterfly, like a student, like, with a creation bound and so on. But in my opinion, the butterfly always needs to like pictures of like, you must be on a child and so on, like, like, you up and everything what's happening. So I think this kind of like explaining, not to have to think about, nothing to do, but if you're existing, you're still working towards being better than we are, and yeah. Four prizes, so 3 prizes that started in 1898, 99, 1934, 37, and 1966, 67. That was volcano seismic prizes only, so only earthquakes, like higher activities of floors on the volcano, but also damages on buildings, for instance. And then obviously we are working on the volcanic crisis that started in 1995. We found the right word to reach some of
This is the first time that a dark cloud rolled into the capital of Montserrat, and because it turned the day to night, most people got scared and jumped into their cars, and I think it was the most accident to have in Montserrat for a single day on that occasion.
Some people start to pay people to run this.
It's pretty wild to see like what actually like happened happened here and to get to come in and see the history and the present times. And
the way that walking on relatively silent, it was a bit disconcerting in a way, because it clearly wasn't the end of the eruption.
I would have spent all my life living in this volcano. Volcano started when I was 5. And through this project I was actually able to learn a lot more than I thought I knew so much about the volcano. I just sit on things, I think we went outside with the camera and stuff. And I was a handicap with the camera because I didn't learn anything about it. And then we went on the field trip and all. We were basically taking pictures of town and then come up. That was really fun. We got videos and stuff. That's when I actually learned how to use the camera. Like actually learned how to use it.
I got to walk on the mountain. That was really in fact. And then we got to see that rock in the party.
They wouldn't have experienced volcanic eruptions. So for them, it's like, okay, yes, we heard our parents talking about it over here. Our teachers, people in the community talking about it, but now we're actually getting information about it, and we're actually seeing these pictures, we're actually watching these videos, we're actually meeting these cool people. We went to church on Sunday, and we're taking pictures of the church. We interviewed my pastor and 2 deacons. We went to the Our Lady's house and we interviewed her about the volcano, and some children because wanted to get the what they heard and stuff.
I feel like that's how one can be to be the family of the thousand I was there and then I found this rock on the other side. We were talking about the volcanic island and that was destroyed. I might not be probably on the other side. I was talking about the animal.
You know, a really good thing that transpired was that the owner of the gas station wanted to ask us to be able to paint a mural on his gas station. And we said, well, we don't have time for that, but there's these incredible artists here. How about this local artist actually continue painting, and you pay the local artist to do a really nice mural, and he can assist from afar. And they stick to it until it is of the quality that they're proud of and that you want. If he thought about it for a second, he says, yeah, that's exactly what I stand for. And that's what I want to continue to help develop. So yeah, let's do that. That was a really special moment because there have been people that have been asking for murals from us, and not all of them were open to local artists doing the artwork.
I'm not sure who said it, but I've heard, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This mural is a testament to how far we can go when we go together.
In a day of technology where we have so much access to so much stimuli and so many things to take in, start giving back and sharing, because around this whole world, like, there's so many people just waiting to hear your voice. Basically, when I was opening career in the eye, there's a limit, as Alina said, basically is good. He's saying there's a limit till you can do some push out.
So, Jeremy, I don't know if you want to come down to the front and take a few questions. So while we're waiting to have a microphone, what does it feel like?
It's exhilarating. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm nervous.
So does anyone in the audience have a question for our wonderful film director?
So Jeremy's been working on this literally night and day. I think between the first cut and the final cut, so much work has gone into it. I'm in tears actually. It's amazing.
I don't know. I've always had a passion for filmmaking, and I'm just thankful to be given the platform to express something that I love doing. And what better to express that love than by using my heritage and my island as a backdrop. So.
Would anyone like to ask a question? Yes.
Well, I'm freelance, right? And the idea did not come from me. It came from the Montserrat Volcano Observatory. They approached me and said that they wanted to do this, and I said, yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So over the course of the project, how did your vision for what you wanted to create evolve?
Right. So initially, when you speak to Karen from the MVO, she gives you a lot of information, and I'm not the kind of guy to take a lot of information and chop it up like that. Very simple. Tell me what you want, and let's move from there. I did not know what to think of the project from the beginning, but it developed as we shot it. Because initially, when we got the artists who assisted the children with the painting and the other community members, I honestly did think it was a piece kind of focused on them at the beginning. It wasn't until on the island that Karen has been giving me a bit more information that the project ballooned into something much more amazing. Yeah.
Excellent. We have a question up here.
Hi, that was amazing. I'm proud not to Russian, and just seeing the sights, hearing the stories, it touched my heart so much. So thank you for
Thank you for your kind.
And where can all the other Monster Russians I know that couldn't make it tonight see this film? Because I feel it's really important to be seen. And what other stories would you like to tell? Because I feel like there's so many stories from this small but great island. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. In terms of the first question, I cannot answer that because I'm just a contractor in this whole project. You'd have to talk to David and Karen of the MVO, who are my clients. And the
it needs to happen soon. Like, I've literally, my phone's going to be blown up later. How was it? So get on it.
I know at some point we've been talking, of course it has to be made in Montserrat. The question is when. Obviously the times that come to people's head are for the both festivals, the Christmas festival in December and the St. Patrick's Festival in March. So I don't know if it'll be one or both, ideally both, but we'll see. And I think there's also plans for an online release at some point as well.
Yeah, I think so. There's complications. I'm a scientist, so we're having to learn about this world together with Jerry. So I think the desire is to take a film that's been made by a Montserratian and to show it Montserratian and basically ensure that it is shown at international film festivals. And I think that creates restrictions on how publicly we can release it. So I think they're figuring that out at the moment. But I do know there's plans to show it more publicly on Ireland. But I can tell you that yesterday the Montserratian secondary school children had a public viewing. And guys, if anyone took pictures of their credits at the end of the film, please can you share them with us? Because I was told to take pictures and I got so overexcited that I made a mess. So if you took pictures of the kids' credits rolling, please let me know. But yeah, so that's the plans with the film.
And for your second question, I very much like to do two things with my film career. First one is spread the word of God, and the second one is spread Montserrat's culture. So the next thing I want to do is tackle our local stories and put them into film somehow, because there ain't nobody doing that. Everybody in Montserrat knows way more about America and the UK than about Montserrat. And there's nothing is wrong with the UK and America spreading their culture, that's fine, but nobody's going to spread our culture. We have to do it ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any more questions at all? I can see so. I'm going to have to sprint round, so David, you can ad-lib while I'm doing that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think we're certainly going to submit this for some geoscience film showings. There's a conference upcoming in February in Guatemala, which is one opportunity, and then there's a conference in April. Yes, the next question.
Thank you. That was really good. It was really a good film. I've got two questions.
Yeah.
What were the challenges, if you had any challenge doing this? What was some of the main challenge, and hopefully, how did you manage to get through that? And my second question is, there was quite a few stories in there, we've got almost a taste of a lot of stuff we've seen. How did you manage to choose those one, and if you want to develop anyone further, which one would it be? On the painting, the schools, there were so many things that was happening. It was really, really rich with a lot of stuff.
So your first question is challenges, and your second question is, what story am I choosing to do next?
How did you manage to choose the stories, and which one would you develop more?
Oh, okay, as in local folk stories. Okay, cool. First question, yes, there was a million challenges. First of all, I live in the UK, so I couldn't book off my entire days off to go to Montserrat to film. So I had to work with some local filmmakers on the island, namely VIP Media. Montserrat doesn't know him, and there's another one who's more unknown, Zevon Ryan, who saw him on screen. He does a YouTube on Scripture. So those two guys were very integral in getting the footage that I couldn't do while I'm on the island, because I only got a week there and I had to get back to work before they fired me. And then, so it's that, but in addition to that, I'm collaborating with scientists, right? And scientists are very amazing, but scientists don't see there's science, and then there's what's the word, cinematic, just something to do for, even though it's not scientifically accurate, it's cinematic, right? So I had a bit of a push and pull there, and we met in the middle, as I normally do with the camera. How do I capture? I don't like using pictures in film. I always like to try to make something move. So how do I get shots of something that doesn't exist anymore? How do I get footage of something in the past? And for other reasons, we couldn't really access local videography of the times, but we had access to certain photography, and with the magic of AI, we were able to bring a bunch of them to life. Yeah. And in terms of the second, what am I doing next? The very first thing that pops in my head is The Mermaid of Chance's Peak. And that's just what I hear all the time. I don't know if it will be, but that's just what I hear all the time. And we'll move from there. Cheers.
Thank you.
Meryl's got a question. I'm jumping down the stairs.
Jeremy, you just lit, and I would love to work with you.
Let's do it.
I would love to work with you, because the thing is, a lot of young people do not know the story about the mermaid on Chance's Peak.
I don't know the story.
Exactly. But what has happened to her? Where has she gone? Did she run away? The snake that used to be her charmer with her, did he get her out off the mountain in time? There's so much to develop there.
Yeah.
So when you said the mermaid on Chance's Peak, I sat up straight. We have to talk.
Anymore, but when we started, the first project we did was we virtualized Plymouth. Yeah, so we took all photos and videos of Plymouth before it was destroyed, and we built it in 3D to a certain extent, and anyway, I digress. So, I would like to do more of that personally, but that will just remain to be seen. Yeah. So what's up? Thank you.
I just wondered, in all that you put together your film and all the research that obviously has gone into doing all of that, what was the most satisfaction that you got out of doing all of this?
Today? Long story short, good.
It must have been quite daunting.
So for sure, in terms of work.
erupted and forced the people living in the rain and oil zone to evacuate their homes. About 20,000 people were temporarily relocated to evacuation centers and private homes. For some, life will never be the same again. Once I listened here, because that was even at my house, my father didn't see me that around, and I can actually do that when I see how children that was.
And of course, our community was as if the person in that era who was overlooking us at the schools, they were happy for us. They pretend because maybe 1, 2, 3 months, maybe up to 4 months, it was like everything changed. They start acting as if we don't come from anywhere. It was conform for us to leave on the 17th of September. We left the shelter. 6 straight long months. It wasn't this hard long 6 months.
Well, there was a bit of confusion as to when you to begin. I went to the Fancy Friends, Fancy Transport, to come and see the era. We came to do assessment, the era, to see what kind of was doing. Yes, I think we read the movie, I think we never see when we came back. There was just a bit of active in Fancy. When I came back to Fancy, after that 6 months in evacuation, I felt relief. I felt like myself again. It is so peaceful. I look at myself. I can sport in one of the things that brings the people of Fancy together. On the evenings, we usually would congregate at the park. So I was my friend, we spent all children in Fancy, playing adults. So in that one space, we find netball, cricket, soccer, even bike riding. There are several ways in which people come together in Fancy besides sports. From a cultural standpoint, Fancy has been always been one of the top cultural communities across events and developments. And matter of fact, one of those writers in the newspaper would have got Fancy some years back as the cultural capital of events and developments. We have always been involved in the cultural development and the cultural activities and the cultural aspects of events and developments.
The National Heroes Day, everybody would anticipate that day to come to Fancy because of the indigenous food, like fish broth, madabo and fish, cassava bread, cassava bake, sweet potato pudding, and many other indigenous delicacies. Well, Fancy is a beautiful place, hence the reason to come out and take in the natural beauty.
According to the history, the Kalinavu Amerindians came up to the Orinoco River and settled in various countries in the Caribbean. So those who came to see this, they brought the cassava.
Is kind of known as the Caribbean territory, the Caribbean country. The Caribs used it as a staple food, and I believe that is how a lot of it come to be in this area, and the Chinese continue with the indigenous peoples who live in this community.
I am Margaret Roberts. My parents used to carry on this project. They already passed and they continue the tradition. Mr. John Roberts, he will have passed on the knowledge and the skills to his children. So right now his daughter is there. Okay. We get the cassava, we take it here, we do the washing, and then this is what we use. Then we put it down a barrel like this. We take the cassava in our hand and then we starch. Finish that process. This is what we use. We call it the sifter. So when you finish sifting it, it gets very fine. After you finish sifting it, we pour it in the copper. You line the copper, and then remove the stick like this to push and pull. It has to be very crisp at the end product that it could out a long while.
Farino Dampiana. Sweep and brine and bring out the water. Farino Dampiana. Dampio Dampiana. Farino Dampiana.
My encounter with cassava, maybe when I was about 10, my neighbor had a couple with a shed. So every time we do cassava, it's like it was a community activity. It was a community thing. So the neighbors and everybody would come out.
Cassava was used as a breakfast meal because in those days there was not very popular. There were no bakeries fancy, and there was a guide who used to walk all the way from Sunday to David to fancy. They would only come on Sunday mornings, so we had to use our food for breakfast, and cassava was one of the main ones. I would like to see the tradition continue because it is deemed to be a healthy food, and I would like to see the tradition into the art of baking cassava, because I think that is one of the problems. Some people do not know how to bake it in the younger generation.
upstairs and do the connection. Okay. Leave it there for now. Do you want to have someone on the mic just talking to the audience whilst we're doing this whole? Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to give it good?
I've been told to do some ad-libbing while we get some things sorted out. So just like Montserratians, St Vincent is a very poetical country as well, with a great deal of writing. And there was a huge amount of writing inspired after the eruption they had in 1979. But as you may know, this most recent one happened during the pandemic, so it was a really difficult situation for lockdown. But we have the Vincentian poet, who's recommended by the local Vincentian writers here to us, who has recorded 3 short poems, I think, online, which is what they should be lining up. And then there's going to be an opportunity for us to have a bit of a chat with some of the filmmakers. And I should say, Geraldine has done a fantastic job, and he is a professional. The people who made those films from St Vincent were just the community members